meets the eye is often just a fraction of the story. When you see me standing before you today, what do you see? Stay. Before I finish the first sentence of this talk, you likely had your first impression. What did you notice? What might you have missed? Down. Oh, come on. Stay. Rewind back to February of 1991. I report to Air Force basic training at Lackland Air Force Base, Texas. The ground war to liberate Kuwait is imminent. Preparing for overseas deployment, I show up in the best shape of my life, ready to go, and right in the middle of training, my body feels like it's shutting down. The pain in my head is excruciating. Finally, I make it the lights out, and I lay there awake. Everything hurts, and no position's comfortable. At midnight, like a release, all the pain goes away, and instantly I fall asleep. At 5 a.m., I wake to a familiar voice. Airman Watt, report to sick call. Sir, Airman Watt reports as ordered. Pain's gone. I'm good to go. Airman Watt, I repeat, report to sick call. Sir, I don't understand. My bunk and pillow are soaked with blood. My blood. Yes, sir. Boy, sick call. 104-degree temperature, pink eye in both eyes, sinus infection, strep throat, chest infection, ear infection on the left, and a ruptured eardrum on the right. And that explains where all the blood's coming from. I can't see, I can't hear, I can't swallow. I can barely breathe. And I can't quit. The only thing that I can do is embrace the military ethos of compartmentalizing pain and suffering. I quickly realize that emotions are liabilities in high-stakes situations. So I quickly get good at disconnecting from my pain as well as my emotions. So much so, this skill of compartmentalization becomes a sought-after asset years later. I used it in the Air Force as a K-9 explosive detection team, then on as a captain flying business jets, an instructor pilot, and an FAA check airman. In 3 decades of service and leadership, I've had many internal and external injuries. The evidence of which, it's not gone. It's just invisible. Now, as you see me here today, you might be thinking, well-groomed, approachable, and obvious dog lover. And the number one question I get out in public is, wow, what a beautiful dog. Are you training him to be a service dog for someone else? You're not going anywhere. It's a question that often makes me pause and reflect on how our eyes can appreciate beauty and not always purpose. Oh boy, hey. Donzi here is not just a companion or a project in training. I mean, what? Donzi is my steadfast guardian against an adversary unseen. Right. Boy. Sit. Yeah. Lie down. Lie down. Hey. I know. You say hi later. Down. 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 This public misperception, it's a mirror of a larger issue. Our collective blindness to the battles fought of our minds and body. Invisible wounds scream in silence. And now's the time to give them a voice. We take first impressions as truth. We judge, we assume, all in the matter of seconds. What we miss are the undercurrents of trauma, pain, and limitations, all of the things we're taught to hide. These are what I call invisible wounds. Invisible wounds are anything, physical or psychological, that limit our ability to function day to day. These could be illnesses that never healed, chronic pain, post-traumatic stress, even sleep disorders, all of which I deal with constantly. My number one daily battle is pain in the form of a migraine. When vertigo strikes, I can't even walk, often triggering a mental health crisis. Now, Donzie here, come here, bud. Wake up, come here. You're in on this part. No, yeah. Donzie helps me battle these silent adversaries. He's been professionally trained with over 20 commands and cues, an example of which is medication retrieval, when I can't get it myself. Probably the easiest command to teach him, as he is a Labrador retriever. Oh, you love that, don't you? There are times when I'm completely overwhelmed with my invisible wounds and I can't think for myself. Service dogs like Donzie can detect changes in my emotional and physical state. Oh boy, ready? When Donzie detects a change in the physical or mental state, he's trained to make physical contact, essentially sharing his regulated and calmed central nervous system with my dysregulated one. Okay. This is called CoRegulation. Anyone dealing with invisible wounds needs two things: connection and safety, both of which come from CoRegulation. Now, if we don't feel connected and safe, desperation often leads to self-destructive behaviors. Before I got my first service dog, I was in a darkness that I can only describe as hopelessness. My biggest fear was revealing these invisible wounds, becoming an outcast, shamed, humiliated. It was greater than my fear of death. I had a 9mm round chambered in my Beretta 91F until my wife, Amber, intervened, removed that as an option for me. And if she hadn't, I wouldn't be here today. Yet the invisible wounds remain. My first service dog, Foley, when he came into my life, he gave me the courage to finally put a voice to my invisible wounds and ask for help. I have two boys, ages 16 and 19, and both have witnessed me hitting rock bottom. Yet they have grown into resilient men because their lasting memories will be my willingness to give voice to and openly talk about my invisible wounds and hold myself accountable for my actions. As social beings, we are not meant to navigate life's challenges alone. If you find yourself grappling with invisible wounds, reflect back on your experience and emotional well-being. If there is any point which you had to suppress those emotions, those need to be acknowledged and processed. With a strong support network, whether that takes the form of a service dog, a family member, a doctor, a psychologist, even a close friend, we can confront the battles that rage in the quiet corners of our minds and body. And let's learn from dogs like Donzi to connect with empathy, understanding that what meets the eye is often just a fraction of the story. Donzi, close, close. Come here, get close. Invisible wounds scream in silence. I invite you to join us in giving them a voice. Thank you. No.